So this book, this guide, Tokenomics for Builders, open source. It's basically a book, but it's not for sale. Anyone can access it. I started working on it probably like a year and a half ago, to be honest. I started working on it because I was speaking to teams that had just graduated from a Web3 accelerator, and they all basically had the same questions, right? They all had questions about as simple as what's the standard for vesting or what percent allocation should go to the team, to more complex things, right? What's the incentives why should people use the token, right? Like what's the best tokenomics, quote unquote, which doesn't really exist, but we can get into that. All these questions. And I realized that they needed a comprehensive guide and that it would drive me crazy if I was answering these questions for every team individually. And so I could create a guide that everyone could refer to, at least as a basis for understanding. And so started on the guide, it kept growing, it kept adapting, it kept evolving, and then I published it a couple months ago at this point. So loosely speaking, it's broken down into two parts. Part one is like all the core fundamental terminology, concepts, knowledge, history that everyone should know. And it's really written for a builder's point of view, like a founder, but investors and people just generally interested can also get a lot of value from it. And then part two is more of a step-by-step process to actually go through what I call the tokenomics design canvas and actually end up with a first draft of your token model. And so it goes through things like incentive mechanisms, identifying those conflicts, doing quantitative modeling of both the supply side and the demand side, and arriving at optimizing your parameters. Some even on the legal aspect, although obviously that's a bit changing all the time and I'm not a lawyer, but it tries to at least point people in the right direction when it can't necessarily provide an answer.